Welcome to A Minute with Marty. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that really affects most people, and that topic is your pharmacy and prescription medications. And today, we have a staple in our community, Hugh Mobley with Mobley Drugs. Hugh, appreciate you being with us. We were looking forward to the topic of conversation today.
Thank you so much, Marty. I appreciate it. And I want to add value to people's knowledge of prescription medications and how they can benefit from them.
Yeah, and I know that's definitely gonna happen today. People that know you may want to know on the personal side, why did you start Mobley Drugs?
It's kind of I don't want to call it an accident. It was kind of fate, I guess you would call it. About the time, a couple of years after I got out of pharmacy school, I had come back to Lancaster to work at one of the local chain drugstores. It was Eckerd. And there was a gentleman in my church who owned Perry's Pharmacy. He became terminally ill, and I was approached by his family to see about the continuance of the business. So we decided to go in there and get started. I was 26 years old, and that's pretty. Sorry. That's hang on. That's pretty young to start a business, and I guess good Lord looked after me long enough to let me get through the early years, and so that's been 40 years, and I'm really glad. Interesting thing, I found out that Mr. Perry actually had bought that business from someone else. And when I got into the business and started looking, it was actually a distant relative of mine that owned it before Mr. Perry. So
okay,
that was it's kind of a little interesting take to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have helped a lot of people over the years, including me and my family. A lot of people may just take pharmacies for granted. They think the doctor gives them a medication to go get it filled. They walk out the door. As a pharmacist, what is your goal every day? Kind of what's the idea when you have repeat clients, you have repeat customers that come in, sometimes weekly, monthly, definitely. What is the goal of you and your staff in helping those clients?
Well, what hurts you the most is what you don't know.
Right.
So if a lot of people say, well, it's just medicine or it's just over-the-counter medicine, those things affect your body and can have a detrimental effect if they're used incorrectly or not in the correct amount. So one of the main goals that a pharmacist has, number one, is an educator to make sure that the customer, the client, the patient knows the proper use of the medicine. And another role is somewhat of a caretaker or preventer from negative things happening. So if you have a relationship with an individual and you know something about them, you can know whether that this medication that was prescribed may or may not be inappropriate, or how they could use it, and when to take it. So a lot of it has to do with knowledge transference as well as preventative negative side effects.
Yeah. That's like what I tell a lot of people is, you need you a lawyer, an accountant, your pastor, you need an insurance consultant, and you need a pharmacist. You need somebody you really can go to regularly to help you with your pharmacy needs, because it is important, because it can be dangerous taking
very much. Over 40 years, I've seen some really scary things that were able to be circumvented, and then been some people that we've been able to help and educate. So it's been a blessing.
Okay.
It really has.
Well, good. As an independent pharmacy, what are some of the services you guys, speaking of that, you guys provide to the community?
Well, of course, traditional pharmacy services, the profile, the education, those kind of things, insurance processing. This was before COVID, but the economy was in a kind of a downturn, and a lot of people weren't able to leave their work. So we instituted delivery, and that's actually grown to about 30% of our daily business that gets delivered every day. We do it at for people for their work and at their home, and there's a number of shut-ins that take advantage of that. So we're able to do that. We don't charge for that.
Yeah.
Over the years, we provided a lot of medical equipment, but in 2009, the market changed substantially, and we, exited that portion of the business. But for about 20 years, we did that and took care of people in their home. We also do a lot of prescription compounding. That's something that I always say was not uncommon when I first got out of school, but it's a lot more uncommon now. But it's still something that we hold on to, because you have somebody that has an allergy to an ingredient, or they need a special dose of something that they can't get. We're able to formulate those things for them. In most cases, there's some things we can't do, but we're happy to dig into it, see if we can create a solution, or if not, we tell them.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, you mentioned those services. Is there any particular one that maybe is not used as often as it really should be?
Well, until a couple of years ago, we were doing immunizations, and we weren't doing that many, but during COVID, I think we did a total of about 6,000 immunizations during COVID. So we really kind of anchored in on that. And that was something that, brought a lot of awareness to the value of immunization. So prior to COVID, people weren't using the immunization service as much as they do now, but in the same aspect, they are using that more and more now, and they become more aware of it. There's databases that let people know what they're due for, what they've had. So those things are good. And I know there's a lot of controversy in a sense surrounding immunizations, and I don't try to convince anybody one way or the other, but I firmly believe that immunizations actually got us to the point where life was becoming more normal.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of being aware, if you watch any kind of TV, you see commercials all the time. How has the 20 plus years of prescription drug commercials affected consumers, and how has it helped or hindered the independent agency?
Well, in a sense, commercialization of everything has become more pronounced.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, we had 3 TV channels. There wasn't a lot. You relied on the information from the practitioners, but the knowledge growth has been substantial, and increasing the awareness and knowledge of medical conditions has helped increase life longevity. So the fact that you may have a symptom or something that you're not aware of, and previously you go untreated, undiagnosed, it may cause a premature death. Now things are more available for people to learn and understand. So I think the broad-based awareness, but I still say don't go that alone. Ask for professional advice, either your physician, your nurse practitioner, right, your PA, or your pharmacist, somebody that can help you go a little deeper, because what they advertise may be for a group of people, but it may not be for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that being said, talk about commercials. You always see these commercials about Good RX, senior care, those types of discount programs. Is that something, how do those work? And is that something you guys participate in?
Well, if you understand, those things wouldn't be advertised if there wasn't money available for those advertisements, because advertising is very expensive. And those things are being provided by what's called pharmacy benefit managers, same people that have your quote drug card. And there is a bit of profit built into the use of those cards for those people. And we have found that we can actually provide at a very reasonable cost, very similar, sometimes less than those cards offer, without the transaction fees. The other negative portion of those cards is the fact that they can't be used in conjunction with your insurance. So if you had a deductible and you use that card, you're still going to have that deductible. And when you get a brand name drug, you may end up paying way more. So, it seems like a good thing, and it's not all bad, but at the same time, we found that we can actually provide some of the same things without, having to incur the cost of processing those type of cards.
Exactly. We also live in a time where society, or people sometimes think that bigger's better. Like for instance, prescription cost. I can go to a CVS or Walmart or whomever, and I can get my medications cheaper versus going to maybe an independent pharmacy or something like that. How does that work? And is that true?
Well, for the most part, if you're processing an insurance card or Medicare Part D card, for the most part, your copay is going to be the same no matter where you go. So why would you not choose an area where you can go in? It's easier to go in. It's faster. It's quicker. You get personal service rather than having to go online, wait a couple of days, or sit, and wait for it. So for those people, I can't understand the differential. And I guess where you're coming from is the issue of cash paying patients, which are very diminished. That's less than 10% of the population now. But I'll just give you an example. We had a lady that actually came to us somewhat in a panic. She had to buy some breathing medication during COVID and didn't have any insurance. And she had been to two of the larger stores, and they had quoted her over $200 and something. We were able to sell that same medication for $65. Did it in 15 minutes. She was out the door. The others had told her it would be a day wait or so.
Yeah.
So, a lot of things are misconceptions. And I hate that, but we're able to compete on price. If we weren't, we wouldn't be here for 40 years.
Exactly.
I have an adage that I say to a lot of people who say, the demise of the privately owned pharmacy and all. And I said, yeah, I've been going broke for 40 years. So,
yeah. Exactly. That is, and that being said, you're talking about, we have a lot of tools with us today. You got a lot of different avenues. You've got people like yourself can educate your customers on what's best for them. And like you just said, you got into the finance end of it because, medications can be expensive and not everybody's got a lot of money. And that being said, I'm sure you have areas, or you'll take things like manufacturers' coupons or some of those other things to help your clients manage that cost.
It's funny now. There are websites where you can actually download those manufacturer coupons rather than them being provided to you physically. And a lot of times when a patient comes in, they have a really high copay or a high cost. We'll go on a website and see if there's a coupon available that we can reduce that copay for them. The unfortunate thing is the people that are most needing of that are usually retirees and those on Medicare, Medicaid. And those coupons have a disclaimer, which I think is a federal program, which won't allow those to be used with people who are on government support systems, Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare Part D. So those are great. Yeah. We try to use them. We try to find them for people. But as I said, the people who probably need them the most are disqualified. And I don't agree with that, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this was, you kind of, I'm a pro local independent kind of guy. And you kind of summed up a lot of those things today where there's a lot of one-on-one, there's a lot of care. You're not a number. And that's reassuring in small towns across the state and area. And, it's good to have local independent pharmacies like you guys that've been here, understand it, and people can just walk in and say and ask you some questions. And it's just not prescription medications. It can be herbs and vitamins and those sorts of things that you guys provide as well.
A lot of people think if it's over the counter, it's safe and you don't have to worry about it. It's still medication.
Right.
But because of the package instructions and all, most people, it's provided that most people can understand how to safely use it, but that's not always the case. I've known of several things. Individual who got a severe kidney infection by taking cold medication incorrectly, and I know a person who passed away by overdosing on some over-the-counter medication. And then there's some problems with liver failure and all with some of these medications. So it does pay to know, and especially with nutritionals and herbs and vitamins, some of these medications reduce those amounts of those things in your body, and you need to replace them but people have to have a relationship with somebody that they know that they can go to and find out what it is and the proper amounts to use.
Exactly. Well, Hugh, you just made my point, and I really appreciate you today taking the time to discuss some things. For everybody else, we're going to be having an ongoing series of these, and so
you'll let me come back.
Yeah, we'll let you come back and go through. So everybody keep a lookout for additional topics as we go forth. Hugh, appreciate your time today and look forward to what we're going to do in the future.
Thank you so much, Marty.
All righty. Well, everybody else, we hope this was very beneficial to you today. And thank you for joining us on A Minute with Marty. You take care.